The story begins with a clash that sets the tone for everything to follow. Within the training grounds of Balam Garden, a prestigious military academy, two students duel under the watch of their peers. Squall Leonhardt, stoic and withdrawn, faces Cypher Almasi, his arrogant and hot-tempered rival. Gunblades crash in a furious exchange, sparks scattering with each strike. Neither yields, each determined to dominate the other. In the chaos, Cypher's blade cuts deep across Squall's forehead, leaving a scar that will forever mark him. But Squall returns the strike, branding Cypher with an identical wound. Their duel ends not in victory but in mirrored scars, symbols of their rivalry and a foreshadowing of battles yet to come. Balam Garden itself is a place of discipline and ambition, where young men and women are trained as seeds, mercenaries hired to intervene in conflicts across the world. The garden is both a school and a fortress, ruled by order, strategy, and preparation for war. Squall, detached and self-contained, moves through these halls with quiet indifference. His peers see him as cold, though in truth he shields himself from the pain of connection. Quistis Trepe, an instructor admired by many students, urges him to open himself to others, but Squall's guarded heart resists. The time comes for Squall's final test before becoming a seed. To prove his strength, he must venture into the fire cavern, accompanied by Quistis. There, within a chamber of molten rock and roaring flames, Squall confronts the guardian force known as Ifrit. With unwavering focus, he faces the beast's inferno, emerging victorious and binding the entity's power to his will. With this trial complete, he earns the right to join the field exam in the coastal city of Dalit. The Dalit mission begins as Squall is assigned to a squad under the leadership of Cypher, joined also by Zell Dinsht, an energetic martial artist whose fiery spirit contrasts Squall's calm reserve. The mission is one of precision. Repel Galbadian forces that have invaded Dalit and secure key communication points. The city becomes a battlefield of gunfire and steel as CD cadets clash with Galbadian soldiers. Squall executes his role with ruthless efficiency, his gunblade cutting through opposition with mechanical grace. Yet Cypher's reckless nature endangers the squad, breaking orders and pursuing personal glory. It is only through Squall's discipline that their mission holds together. As the Galbadians withdraw, their forces deploy a monstrous weapon, the XATM-092, a massive spider-like war machine that towers over the streets of Dalit. Its armored legs tear through stone as it hunts the retreating CD cadets. Squall and his team must flee through the city, battling the machine at every turn as it repairs itself again and again. The chase pushes them to their limits, but at last, aboard the evacuation vessel, Squall delivers a final decisive strike, crippling the machine long enough for their escape. His calm under pressure secures the mission's success, though Cypher's insubordination leaves his future uncertain. Returning to Balam Garden, the results are clear. Squall passes the exam and is promoted to CD, earning his place among the elite. Zell too becomes a CD, his enthusiasm unshaken by the danger faced. Cypher, however, is denied, his recklessness marking him as unfit for command. His pride suffers, and a simmering resentment toward Squall takes root, deepening the rivalry between them. That evening, a grand celebration is held within the garden's halls. The CD graduation ball shimmers with lights and music, students dancing in triumph. Squall, standing apart as always, finds himself confronted by an unfamiliar presence. Across the ballroom floor, a young woman approaches with confidence and charm. Her name is Rinoa Hartilli, and she extends her hand with playful insistence, coaxing Squall onto the dance floor. Awkward and reluctant, he stumbles through the steps, yet under her guidance, he moves with growing assurance. In this fleeting moment, beneath the glitter of chandeliers, Squall's world begins to shift. The walls he has built around himself tremble, though he scarcely realizes it. The night fades, and with it the first chapter of Squall's journey closes. He has proven himself a seed, yet already forces stir that will draw him into a conflict far greater than mercenary duty. Beyond the garden, across the continent of Galbadia, a sorceress moves unseen, her influence stretching into the hearts of nations. The seeds of war are being sown, and Squall, bound now to destiny, stands unknowingly at the center of it. His scar, his rivalry, and his first meeting with Rinoa mark the beginning of a tale that will entwine love, loyalty, and the fate of time itself. With his graduation behind him, Squall takes on his first assignments as a full-fledged CD, yet he does not embark alone. Zell, full of restless energy, joins him, while Quistis continues to hover nearby, torn between her role as instructor and her desire to reach Squall on a more personal level. His indifference to bonds remains steadfast, even as others seek to close the distance. But destiny begins to shape the seed's course in ways no classroom ever could. The next mission calls them to Timber, a small city under the oppressive control of Galbadia. Their employer is none other than Rinoa Hartilli, the spirited young woman Squall encountered at the graduation ball. She is the leader of a resistance group known as the Forest Owls, idealists fighting desperately to free Timber from Galbadian rule. Their numbers are small, their plans often chaotic, but their resolve is undeniable. For Squall, the assignment is straightforward: protect and support their client. Yet the reality is more complex. Rinoa's bold nature and fiery determination clash with Squall's detached professionalism, igniting a tension that neither can ignore. With CD precision, Squall and his team help orchestrate the infiltration. The operation is executed flawlessly until the truth is revealed. The president they capture is not Delling, but a gruesome body double, a monster disguised by sorcery. Their efforts crumble, leaving Rinoa's group disheartened and her faith in her cause shaken. Still, there is no time for despair. Orders redirect the seeds to Galbadia Garden, another academy like Balaam but bound to a different master. There, Squall encounters new allies: Selphie Tilmit, cheerful and carefree, whose optimism balances Squall's silence, and Irvine Caneas, a sharpshooter whose charm hides a more fragile core. Together, they are drawn into a mission of grave importance: an assassination attempt on sorceress Idea, the enigmatic figure who has risen to power in Galbadia and now manipulates President Delling himself. Her beauty is matched only by her terrifying presence, and whispers of her sorcery stir ancient fears. Squall, though reluctant to take on the role of leader, finds the weight of command placed upon him. Irvine, chosen as the sniper, is tasked with delivering the fatal shot, while Squall and his squad secure the parade route. The city of Delling becomes the stage for their fateful attempt. Lights blaze, crowds cheer, and Idea appears in regal splendor, her words weaving control over the people. At the appointed moment, Irvine hesitates, his nerves faltering under the enormity of the act, but the assassination fails. The bullet is deflected as if the sorceress anticipated it all along. The trap is sprung. Chaos erupts in the streets as Galbadian forces clash with CD operatives. Idea, in her full power, descends upon the squad, and in that moment her might becomes undeniable. She conjures a spear of ice, its tip gleaming with lethal intent, and strikes directly at Squall. The shard pierces his chest, driving him into the edge of death. Darkness closes in, and for Squall, time itself seems to fade. Yet his story does not end. Against all odds, he survives, rescued by his companions and dragged back from the brink. But the scar upon his heart is no less deep than the wound upon his body. For the first time, he has faced mortality not as an abstract concept, but as a chilling reality. His isolation, his refusal to rely on others, begins to fracture under the weight of this experience. In the aftermath, Cypher, once his rival and peer, makes his fateful choice. Drawn by the sorceress's power and seduced by promises of glory, he abandons CD and swears allegiance to Idea. To Galbadia, he becomes her knight, a loyal servant in her campaign against the world. To Squall, his betrayal is more personal than any battlefield loss. The duel of scars that began in the training hall now evolves into a war of ideals. The battles that follow press Squall's team to their limits. Their missions carry them from Galbadian territories to the windswept plains of Fisherman's Horizon, where they find a brief reprieve, and later toward Trabia, where childhood memories begin to resurface. But even as they move forward, the specter of the sorceress looms ever larger, her reach extending into every nation, her power unsettling the balance of the entire world. Through it all, Rinoa remains by Squall's side. Her warmth and stubborn optimism press against the cold walls he has built, forcing him to confront the emotions he longs to deny. She is reckless, frustrating, and fearless, everything Squall tries not to be. Yet she is also the light pulling him from the shadows, and with every mission their paths grow more entwined. The struggle against Idea is no longer a distant contract, no longer the obligation of mercenaries fulfilling orders. It is personal, it is survival, and it is only the beginning. The scars of Delling City do not fade quickly. Squall's survival at the sorceress's hands is a miracle, but the encounter leaves him restless. His once calm detachment begins to erode, replaced by questions he cannot easily dismiss. Duty binds him, yet the threads of destiny tighten, drawing him closer to mysteries older than Seed itself. The battles with Galbadia are only the surface of a deeper storm. Dreams begin to haunt Squall and his companions. At odd moments, they awaken in the lives of others, assuming the roles of strangers who lived years before. In these visions, they walk the path of Laguna Loire, a carefree soldier turned wanderer, whose warmth and clumsy charm stand in stark contrast to Squall's severity. With Laguna are his comrades, Kiros and Ward, fighting not for glory but for survival in a world riddled with conflict. These dreams are more than illusions. They are windows into truths that connect the present to the past, though their meaning remains obscured. Meanwhile, CD's struggle against the sorceress escalates. Adia's hold over Galbadia deepens, her armies spreading across the continent with Cypher at her side. Balamb Garden itself becomes a target, forcing Squall into leadership when Headmaster Cid entrusts him with command. Reluctantly, he accepts the mantle. The garden transforms into a fortress, clashing violently with Galbadia Garden in a battle that shakes the very foundations of the academies. Amid the chaos, Squall confronts Cypher once more, their rivalry now sharpened into enmity by betrayal and ideology. Yet the greatest revelation does not come from war, but from memory. As the CD members piece together their pasts, a shocking truth emerges. Squall, Quistis, Zell, Selphie, Irvine, and even Cypher were all raised together in an orphanage by a woman named Adea, long before becoming cadets. Their shared childhood was buried, not by chance, but by necessity. The Guardian forces they junctioned to gain strength exact a hidden price, memory itself. Years of relying on these beings have eroded their earliest bonds, severing recollections of their connection until now. The sorceress they fight is not a stranger, but the matron who once nurtured them. The revelation unsettles the group. To battle Adea is to strike at the very heart of their past, yet her transformation into the sorceress's vessel leaves no room for hesitation. Squall's isolation fractures further under this weight. Once he fought only for orders, now he must face enemies who were once family. Even his certainty in his own strength wavers. In the midst of these struggles, Rinoa's path grows more entwined with fate. Her bond with Squall deepens, but her own destiny begins to awaken. When she comes into contact with a powerful sorceress's power, she becomes the unwilling host of a force beyond her control. Squall, the man who once resisted all attachments, finds himself standing on the precipice of fear, not for himself, but for her. His heart, long guarded, is forced open by the terror of losing her. The CD's path carries them eastward, beyond familiar nations to the technologically advanced empire of Esthar. Hidden behind near-invisible walls and cloaked from the world for decades, Esthar is a realm of science and ambition, a stark contrast to the Garden's militaristic traditions. Here, the truth of the sorceress's cycle begins to reveal itself. Adea, it is discovered, is not the true enemy but merely the vessel for a greater power. Ultimecia, a sorceress from a future yet to come, who seeks to compress time itself into a singularity under her control. In Esthar, Squall also learns the true significance of the dreams of Laguna. Far from being random visions, they are threads woven directly into his destiny. Laguna Loire, once a wandering soldier, has risen to become president of Esthar, carrying the burdens of leadership in his own flawed but earnest way. His life, his choices, and his compassion have shaped the present, even as Squall CD prepares to decide the future. Confronted with this tapestry of past and present, Squall undergoes a transformation. No longer merely the stoic mercenary, he begins to accept the responsibility of connection. He acknowledges the pain of bonds but also their strength. His growing feelings for Rinoa, impossible to deny, drive him to protect her at any cost. What began as a mission for CD has become his personal war. But Ultimecia's shadow looms larger with every passing moment. Through Rinoa, through Adea, and through the fragile boundaries of time itself, her influence spreads. Time compression is no longer a distant threat. It is a rising tide. The seeds forged from orphans, trained as mercenaries and bound by fate, must now rise as the world's last defense. The battlefield is no longer just cities or gardens. It is memory, destiny, and time itself. The fate of the world narrows to a single point, and Squall finds himself at the center of it. Ultimecia's plan is no longer hidden. Her goal is clear: to compress time, merging past, present, and future into one eternal moment under her rule. To stop her is to fight across the boundaries of existence itself, a battle unlike anything Seed was ever meant to face. And yet this is their destiny. From the orphanage where they were raised to the garden where they trained, everything has led them here. Rinoa's struggle becomes the heart of Squall's mission. Possessed, manipulated, and nearly lost to the sorceress's power, she teeters between herself and the force that would consume her. Time and again, Squall chooses to fight for her, defying his own nature. The boy who once shunned connection now risks everything to protect the one who reached past his walls. It is no longer the mission that drives him. It is love. and in love he finds the courage to lead his friends into the final confrontation. Esther lends its technology, CD lends its might, and the chosen warriors, Squall, Rinoa, Zell, Quistis, Selphie, and Irvine, stand as humanity's last defense. Their journey carries them through the depths of lunatic Pandora, a massive structure harnessing forces that call monsters from the moon itself, plunging the world into further chaos. Cypher, still bound to Ultimecia's will, emerges time and again as their adversary, his devotion warped into obsession. At last the seeds confront Idea, but the truth has shifted. She is no longer the enemy. Freed of Ultimecia's grip, she steps aside, guiding Squall to accept the burden she once bore. To reach Ultimecia, the heroes must face the collapse of time, plunging into a realm where past and future blur, where memories fragment, and where reality folds upon itself. The journey into time compression is unlike any battle before. Fragments of eras collide, ancient ruins drift alongside futuristic towers, seas float above skies, and the world itself becomes a surreal tapestry of broken ages. Here Ultimecia awaits, her form vast and shifting, the embodiment of timeless malice. The battles are relentless, each form she assumes more powerful than the last. Drawing upon all the hatred and fear of sorceresses throughout history, the seeds fight as one. Squall's gunblade strikes with precision. Zell's fists shatter steel. Quistis commands deadly precision with her techniques. Selphie channels magic with unyielding faith. And Irvine's sharpshooting pierces through even the sorceress's defenses. And Rinoa, once the uncertain resistance fighter, now stands in her full strength, her bond with Squall unbreakable. Their unity defies the compression of time, for even as reality crumbles, their hearts remain steadfast. At the climax of the struggle, Squall confronts Ultimecia not only with his blade but with his will. For all her power, she is alone, consumed by the endless cycle of sorceress and knight, burdened by the hatred of generations. Where she seeks to compress time into eternity, Squall seeks to preserve the fragile moments that give life meaning. His love for Rinoa, his bonds with his companions, and his acceptance of the pain of connection become his greatest weapon. With one final strike, Ultimecia is undone, her form unraveling into the abyss of time itself. Yet victory comes at a cost. As time unravels, the seeds are cast adrift in the collapsing currents of existence. Each struggles to hold on to their identity, their memories, their place in the world. Squall, pulled deeper into the void, finds himself alone once more in a realm of endless nothing. It is here that his greatest trial occurs, not against a foe, but against himself. In the silence of eternity, he faces the fear that defined him, the terror of isolation. But he is not alone. Through the darkness, Rinoa reaches for him. Her presence becomes his anchor, her light guiding him back from the abyss. The boy who once rejected bonds surrenders to them fully, choosing connection over solitude, love over fear. Hand in hand, they emerge from the void, returning to the world they fought to protect. Time flows once more. Gardens stand, nations rebuild, and the scars of war begin to heal. On a night lit by fireworks, Balamb Garden celebrates not with ceremony but with joy. Amid the laughter and music, Squall and Rinoa stand together on the balcony, the stars above them unmarred by compression or chaos. No words are needed. Their journey has remade them both, the mercenary who learned to feel and the dreamer who found her strength. Thus, the tale closes. What began with a scar and a duel between rivals ends with two souls bound together, not by fate, but by choice. CD endures not only as a weapon of war, but as proof that even in a world of uncertainty, bonds can defy time itself. And in Squall's quiet gaze, no longer cold, there is the promise of a future shaped not by fear, but by love. Please like and subscribe.